Okay, welcome to version 3.0 of the Magic Spreadsheet. I've got some great improvements in this copy. So the first thing you're going to do is this is the PDF that you will receive from Etsy after you purchase, and you can go and click right here to access the spreadsheet. Ready? Okay, so it's going to take us over to our browser. It's going to say, do you want to copy this document? And you're going to click and say, yes, go ahead. Make a copy of this document for me. Now be patient. It is a very large file. So give it a moment to copy. Here I am being impatient, waiting for it to copy. All right, now we're going. All right, so it's copy of version 3.0. So you can rename this to whatever you would like. My family's planning tool. Whatever makes you happy. All right, so this is where we're going to go. We're going to go through tab by tab. So the next tab is my homeschool. All right, so within this, you're just going to tell the spreadsheet how your school year is structured. So it defaults to 3 terms per year, 12 weeks per term, 5 days per week. You can change this up to 7 days per week. And when you do, it defaults to naming the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you would rather loop schedule and name your days day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, whatever makes you happy. So you can change these items in the mint green boxes. Now this is key. You're allowed to type anywhere that is in this mint green. I'm going to leave it as Monday. Don't type in the dark green. Don't type in white. Don't type anywhere except if it's this mint green color. That's it. Only type in mint green boxes. So I'm going to leave my days named this. Now I'm going to list my students. And so I'm going to have the students Janner and Tink and Lily this year. 3 students. Okay. And now I'm going to come down here. Perhaps, and here's a pro tip, perhaps you know that there are certain subjects that you are going to want to pre-read or look over in order to prepare for the week. If that's the case, then you could even create a student called Mom if you would like to. Say, all right, there are certain subjects I want to assign to myself. Maybe I want to print myself out a prep sheet, or I want to look at it digitally and say, okay, these are the things that, I need to look at science beforehand and make sure I've got my supplies in order or whatever. If there are subjects that you want to pull specifically for yourself to look at, you can do this. All right, and then let's name our groups. And so the first thing you want to do is if your students do any independent work, make them their own group. So I'm going to have a group called Janner, and notice it's going to say, hey, you need to assign somebody to this group. Janner's going to be in that group. Tinka's going to be in this group, and Lily. Maybe I also have a couple of subjects that Janner and Tink do together. So I'm going to call that group just the boys. And they do some of their subjects jointly. And I want them to have their own sheet to take to their room to work on their own work. And then maybe we have a morning basket. And morning basket will involve all of us. And then these are the ones that I want to look over at the beginning of the week. So I have 6 groups. Okay. On the next screen, you are going to just check over your info. Okay. I plan to have 3 terms, 12 weeks. You can read through this, make sure that it all looks good. Here are your groups. All right, now let's go ahead and enroll in courses. So this is where you're going to list out your course names. So maybe in Morning Basket, we're going to do Bible 5 times a week for 15 minutes. And I'm going to put that for Morning Basket. Maybe Science grade 6 is done by the boys. Let's see. Natural history 2 is Lily's subject on her own. So you're going to go through and check. And it can be more than one group who's enrolled. Maybe science grade 6 is something that I need to prep for myself. So I'm going to put it in my mom prep column to say, okay, this is one I want to look at before the week starts. So I'll put it here. So you're going to go ahead and list out all of your subjects, how many times per week each of them happens, and how long the lessons are. Okay, so I've gone through and listed several subjects for my students and clicked the students that I want enrolled in each subject. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to, as you're working, you can see the total number of minutes that your student is working for that week. So I can see here the average total number of minutes per day. So right now, Lily is scheduled for only half an hour per day of work. Obviously, I have not gone through and enrolled them in everything, but you're going to keep an eye on your students' time as you continue to put them into their lessons. Okay, as you're enrolling, if you have a subject that turns red, it's because it's not going to accept that lesson name. And this is due to the fact that you have another lesson name that is too similar. So for instance, the problem is when a lesson name is completely contained within another lesson name. For instance, piano, the word piano is completely contained within piano lesson. So I could name it maybe piano practice just to help the spreadsheet differentiate. It has a really hard time if it's finding something contained within another subject name. For instance, if I name this just PE, well, apparently somewhere within here, I have just the letters PE, paper right there, paper Sloyd, there's PE in a row. So it can't handle that. So if I do it this way or type out physical education, that's fine. If I were to charge, let's see if I just did history. Oh, that's not going to work because if I go back and I have American history here, I probably have natural history. And so I would need to name it something more distinct. Okay, that's going to help with bugs in the future in your spreadsheet programming. Okay, so let's say we go to our lesson plans now. All right, so here's where you're going to input your actual lesson plan. So maybe you have something really simple. You're just going to read your story Bible for Bible, and you just want to have that, and you just keep a bookmark in your book. I'm going to put this in here. Now, how many lessons, and I can just drag it down to have it duplicate. How many lessons do I need for Bible? So that's right here. If it's 5 times per week, based on the data that you've given the spreadsheet, you need 180 lessons. So I can go ahead and drag that all the way down to a lesson 180. And that's enough for the entire year. Okay. Oh, I went too far. That's all right. I'll just delete it. There we go. All right. So, you might have something that you're inputting from another curriculum. You might have something like maybe you're going to read the book for American history, the first year, and I want to tell it that I'm reading specifically chapters 1 and 2. Now, to enter down in a cell, you need to hold Control Enter or Command Enter. If I just hit Enter, it'll go to the next cell. So if I want to go to the next line within a cell, I need to do that. And so maybe I'm going to, copy this down, but change my chapters. This is the part where you would enter in your lesson plans, and you don't have to get this all done now. You can continue on with scheduling and come back and enter in your lesson plans at a later time. I'm going to go ahead and load mine in. All right, so let's assume you have your lessons plan loaded in. A lot of these are just placeholders for the purpose of this video, but we have our lesson plans input here. Okay, and then let's see, all courses. This is just a reference tab. Notice how the color is black. So this is just for mom to reference and say, okay, here are the courses that we have this year. Let me go down and make sure I've covered everything. These are the students that are in them. You can even hide that tab if you would like to declutter your spreadsheet. Weekly checklist is an option where you can put in things that you want your students to do just on a weekly basis that are just, repetitive things that are assigned to particular days, and maybe chores or music practice or something like that, free reads. You can put that in here, and then it will create on the next tab a printable version where you could just print this off and have a chore list for your students. This was something that I had people asking for, so I created this. In this case, I probably don't want, I may not want this, so I would just hide those columns. And that way I could print, if I entered Tink and Lily, I could just print, I will look at it in normal and just print the first page, and that would be just a chore list for my kids. Okay. Schedules of courses. All right, if I go to schedules of courses, then this is where the scheduling happens. So here are Janner's lessons that you've chosen for him to do throughout the week. And now you're going to place them into the appropriate day. And so, for instance, I could go put copy work every day, and I can see that copy work, it was a 5. And as I assign it, it's decreasing the count. And so I can keep an eye on how many lessons I've assigned to him. And you can put, all these things here. If you were to over assign, let's say I assigned natural history in that day, and then I assigned it over here as well, it will turn red as a flag to you. Hey, you have too many of those assigned. Let's put something else there. And so you want to go until this is zeroed out. And these would be Janner's individual subjects. So as you assign those to him, if you expand this little area up here, it will show you how many minutes Janner has been assigned. So this is already 165 because I've already assigned some down here as well. So Janner is in the group called boys. And so it's tallying up these minutes that he's in. He's also in my morning basket group. And so I've put some things in my morning basket for us to do. And then he's in his own group, so that it gives me a total of how many minutes he's working today between all of the groups that he's in. So you can hide that as you schedule, and then check on it every once in a while and see how much you've scheduled for your kiddos. Okay, so I've, and this is all just drop down. So I've assigned these. Okay. And I think I've zeroed out his, yep, all of his individual work has been assigned. And I can see how much per day in his individual categories he has. And then I haven't finished the rest of the week in the other categories, but that gives me an idea of how much he's working. So now I can go to the family schedule. Again, this is for reference only. This is just so you can see what you're doing each day. So here are all the lessons we're doing today between, and who is doing which lessons. So if you want to print this somewhere, so you have it for reference, and this gives you a snapshot of the minutes. It just gives you an average minute per day, and you can collapse that if you would like. All right. At this point, you have your spreadsheet set up. If you've gone through and created all of your courses, put in your lesson plans, and scheduled when your students are doing which course. Now this is where the magic happens. That is the bulk of the work. Now we can go to currently studying. So it is set on term 1, week 1. Okay. Let's think about what if we were on term 1, week 3. See these numbers here, they're going to progress. And so we are starting geography on the 3rd lesson that week. Copy work 11. Why is that 11? Well, you've already completed 2 weeks of copy work 5 times a day. So you've already completed 10 copy work lessons. So this is just telling you, hey, you're going to be starting on the 11th lesson. If you scroll back to your lesson plans, you'll be starting on lesson 11 in copy work, whatever lesson 11 says to do in the copy work world. Now, you don't have to know that. The spreadsheet is keeping track of it for you. But that's how it's working. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to freeze these so that stays. Oh, it won't let me. I'll deal with that later. Okay. So what can we do with this? Currently studying. Let's say that he's gotten behind. He missed his geography lesson 1 week. So let's tell the spreadsheet, all right, we're behind a lesson in geography, 1 lesson. So now it's adjusted itself. He's going to start on lesson 2 in geography. If Tink's doing the same geography lessons and he's on 3, then that's fine. It will keep his where it is, but Janner's behind 1. And then notice when we go to the next week, if he just stays behind that 1 lesson, I can just keep that checked. We're still behind 1. If you ever catch up, then if he does 2 lessons in a week and catches up, then we can just take that away. But you can be behind or ahead a certain amount and stay behind that amount, and it will just keep going. All right, so let's go back to week 1 lesson, term 1, week 1. And let's take a look at all of these tabs. Oh, this tab in your spreadsheet will be named group 1. At this point, you can rename it whatever you like. So Janner is my group 1. So this is Janner's individual work. So I can rename the tab. So it's easy for me to find. And this is all of his individual work. And so this might be a print view that you're interested in printing. This is his work for the week, his individual work for the week. And there will be a tab for each of your groups that looks like that. Okay. And once you have them scheduled, those blocks will be full. Another print view, these 1M, 1TU, 1W, this is group 1 Monday. So Janner's Monday. If I want to just print day by day, maybe you have a student who needs less type in a day, less stuff on his page. And there's his Tuesday and there's his Wednesday. So that's another option to print day by day. And then 2 will be Tink. There's his Monday, his Tuesday. 3 is Lily was my 3rd group. You can see it's only showing through 3. The other ones are here. They're just hidden. I didn't want to have all 18 groups showing. It just is a lot of tabs. So you can get to them. Just click right here, 4M. There's my voice. And I can open all of those tabs that I would like to, 5M. Now, if I would rather print my morning basket as a group, as a whole week, there it is. That's what it looks like for my whole week. Now, I haven't scheduled it, so there's nothing showing. But okay, a couple other views that you will be able to print. If you see a red tab, these should be hidden on your sheet. Just don't mess with it. Those are the tabs where the programming is happening. So those should just remain hidden. All right, Monday, 2 groups. So this is an improvement over the previous spreadsheet because you can tell it right here, these little gray numbers. Let's say I want to print Janner and the boys together. I think boys was group 4. There it is. Yeah. So you can put in the number. Maybe I want to print Tink and the boys. And it's going to give you something like this. So I can do Janner and our morning basket on the same page, whatever you would like. If you want more than one of these, if you want to do Janner and Tink together and then have another page with Lily and morning basket, then you can duplicate this and put in different numbers. Well, I don't have anything assigned to Lily. Group 5 and group 4. So I could do it that way. So that's another possible print view that you could have. If you want to do 3 groups, here's another print view. So let's say I want to have Janner and Tink and the work that they do together, the boys group. I could print all of this on one page and say, here you go, boys, here's your work for Monday. And they could take that off. You could try printing it landscape if you prefer, and only print the first page. If it generates a second page, you can prevent it from generating a second page. It's trying to print these white rows. And so you can hide those once you're sure you have your schedule set. Now, if you go and add a lesson to Janner that would be in row 11 and you have that hidden, he's not going to see it. So don't hide the rows until, I mean, you can always unhide them, but I don't want you to forget about a lesson. And so maybe landscape, and that's a nice print for their work for Monday. So there are several different print options that you can use. Now let's talk about a little bit of troubleshooting, or what can you change? You can change the font. You can change the color of the cells. You can change the font size. Any of that would be fine. If you have let's look at this Monday tab. If you, this is going to be, okay. I've got it set on font size 10. You can make that larger. These will be hidden. If, for instance, this literature is going over into 2 lines, you have a few different options. You can either just decrease the print size. That might make it very tiny. You may not want to do that. You can go back and rename that a shorter version. Like I could go back and say, instead of literature, I want to call that Lit DG for Dangerous Journey, or Lit 1 or something like that. That's a shorter name. Now, if I do that, if I go back here to rename it and I find literature and I rename that Lit 1, then I also, if I go back and look at Janner's tab for Monday, you can see I've got an error now. That's because the schedule is looking for, you put literature here. And so it's looking for literature. So make sure you change it there as well. So now I can look at it and say, okay, that fits much more nicely. So that's another option. You could physically enlarge that row. Now it's not going to adjust later if you do that. If this ends up being a long lesson here and it needs to expand, it will no longer do that on its own because you've manually set the row size. So if you double click on it, it will set it to just automatically sizing. But those are options for ways to change how that looks. Okay, that's it. I hope that this lesson planner helps bring peace to your homeschool and organization. If you have any questions, then please reach out to me via email or Etsy, and I would be happy to help you troubleshoot. And I want to help as many homeschool parents as I can organize so that they can get down to the business of learning and less stress with the organization.